right, so welcome back, folks. Citywide Blackout at the Rhode Island Author Expo. This is an all-day event, hundreds of writers, and I have the very good fortune of talking to Kelly Swan Taylor. She's the author of numerous young adult books and a really cool new thriller, which of course we will talk about. Kelly, thank you for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the thriller, because when I saw the cover for this, my initial thought was, do I have the right person here? Because it's such a difference from like what you did before. And I'm going to show the folks at home here. This is your new book, Frozen in Time. I love the cover art.
Thank you.
Where did this one come from?
The story or the cover art?
The cover art. Let's start with that.
The cover art was, her name is Murphy Ray. I found her, she actually does a lot of Colleen Hoover covers for people who know who that is. And so I just liked what she did, and I wanted to do something different with this cover that wasn't just illustration, that was sort of an image manipulation. So I thought it would fit better with the darker theme.
It's very dark, actually.
Yes.
It's very, very
Yes.
dark.
The symbolism, you realize how dark it is.
Yeah. Give us a quick rundown as to what happens in this book.
Okay, well, this one I would say is upper YA. So
Yep.
it's the protagonist is named Summer Ellis. She's 16, and she grew up in a town called Winterberry, New Hampshire. When she was 6 years old, her best friend tragically died on a frozen pond.
Oh, jeez.
So she comes back 10 years later after they moved away for a while, and on her first day out with her dog Ace, a German Shepherd rescue dog, she finds a dead body in the ice, which is not an accident.
Oh, jeez.
So she basically spends the novel trying to figure out what happens, because her mom is a detective, so she, has that blood in her. And she meets a very good-looking hockey goalie, so that kind of plays into it as well, because you got to have a little romance in a teenage story. So yeah.
Why this particular age group? Like, why not do something more for adults, or just kids books?
It's a good question. I think when I first started writing a novel, I just naturally leaned toward doing something that was younger.
Sure.
But it probably is a combination of when I grew up, I was always reading these teen series books. When I was a kid, they were called teen books. Now they've kind of changed to middle grade.
Yeah.
But they kind of encompass that area between tween and teen. And so I was reading those a lot, and anything from like Sleepover Friends or Gymnasts and in sports, that type of thing. And I think that comes into my writing. But what I found too is that when I was first writing The Winning Ingredient and another book I have that I haven't put out yet, I went to the bookstores to try to see where it would fit, and I was noticing that the middle grade seemed too young and the young adults seemed too old. So I decided to start writing in what we call the gap, which is the end of middle school to the beginning of high school. So it's tweens into teens, like 12, 13 up until like 14, 15. And I felt like that area was really in need of more books, because a lot of publishers on purpose tell authors not to write those age groups because they don't know what to do with the books. So if you're a kid who reads up and you're 10 or 12, you don't have anything to read. It's way too old. And they were marketing young adult books more to adults because they enjoy reading them. So I decided to write actually for kids, in a market that is missing these types of books.
So you basically filled a completely a new niche.
That's why
impressive.
I call it bridging the gap, because
That's very good.
So now I write. I'll write anything from middle grade all the way. I have next year, the year after, I have a new adult, which is also something that's up and coming, which is more of a you're on your own, but you're not really an adult. So it's sometimes in college or after college, that type of thing. So I'm trying to find something for everyone, so I'm bridging the gap for all of the age groups, basically.
Okay. So looking back at some of your other books, this is definitely Frozen in Time, a very dark turn for you. What made you want to go this way for the new book?
Well, my first thought when coming up with this book was I was inspired by the idea of just finding a body in the ice or snow. I just wanted, that was kind of the first thing. And the idea, the idea of the tragic sort of the childhood loss in the ice, the friend, was something that I saw there was a newspaper clipping on my grandparents' refrigerator that was just this like grainy, stark photo of a frozen lake. And I thought from my memory that that was one of my sister's friends or something who had lost in the ice. I don't know if it's a real memory or not, or if it's just because I talked to my mom about it recently and she doesn't even know if it's true.
Whoa.
So that kind of stuck with me with the plot as well. But it was really about trying to write something that still had it's still age appropriate
Sure.
thriller, so it really gets you introduced to the idea. But I was reading a lot of thrillers and mysteries, and I thought, why not?
Well,
Give it a
I
shot.
love the cover. I mean, I
Yeah.
absolutely love the cover. But let's talk about your other works, because you have a lot of other books. You have The Wright Detective, which is now 3 books in. And this is all about a young teen detective named Tessa Wright. Her father's also a detective, and she solves mysteries with her friends, which is a very cool concept. Where did this one come from?
This came from loving Nancy Drew and
Yep.
Babysitter's Club, which is kind of the combination because she has the detective agency. I don't know where. I used to play in a treehouse as a kid, or like kind of fort. Not my own, but my friend. So I think that's where that came from. But I like to create, because I moved around a lot as a kid, I think I like to create these sort of fictional worlds that are kind of idealistic, or something that I would have liked to grow up in as a kid, with friendships that you carry throughout your life. So I think that's where that comes into play, without this huge group of solid friends. And I like writing friendship groups too. So and of course I'm a mystery lover, so that's why I wanted to write.
Who is Tessa Wright? Tell us about her.
Tessa is a super sleuth. She's
Ooh.
smart. She's a star in the track team, and she's also eventually starts doing cross country as well. So she's a sporty person. She is a great friend to her 3 best friends, and she is known in town as someone who there's a mystery to be solved. She's the one you go to, and she has a great connection with her parents. Her mom's a physician, her dad's a detective, and she tries to follow in his footsteps. So I see her as like a future FBI agent or something. She's really strong-willed.
So what kinds of mysteries does she solve? I'm guessing not like ice, not like bodies in ice.
No, she's not doing murders yet.
Yet.
Yet. But she does anything from something that might happen in school, where a simple mystery with trying to find who dropped something in a locker, or like a hidden crush or something, or something that might be going on within her town, because she loves her town of Greenville Heights. It's really, really important to her. So she loves making sure that the businesses thrive, and that the town is still the same great place that she grew up in. So she does a lot of mysteries that are incorporated with the local townspeople and the local businesses. So you'll see that in like the 2nd book, and then the 3rd book is a haunted Halloween theme. So she actually does some investigating in a haunted house to figure out what's going on there.
Now, is Tessa the kind of detective who is just always on top of things, or is she really stumped by some of the mysteries?
Both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some things just come to her very, very quickly. She has a sort of a process that she goes through, where she tries to figure it out. But she uses her friends and their knowledge as well. So she's smart enough to know what, in general, how to go through a mystery and an investigation. But then she also uses the tools that she has around her. So she's pretty street savvy, but she also has a smart street there too.
Okay. Her friends, who are they?
There is her best friend Riley, who's also on the track team with her. She's likes astronomy, so that's another tidbit about her. And there's also Skylar, who is their VP, and by the way, Riley is the secretary of the detective agency. They all have, of course, Tessa's the president.
They all gotta have their roles, right?
Yes. So Skylar is the VP. She's very outspoken and boy crazy in the 1st book. And she is on the dance team. They call it the Falconettes, because they are the Greenville Heights Falcons, so they call them Falconettes. And then our other friend is Leah, who is artistic, and she does things. Anything from making her own Halloween costume to painting murals and things. And she is the treasurer, and she always wants to. Her big thing is trying to bling out the tree house with an HVAC system, because they get cold in the winter and hot in the summer. So that's kind of her thing. They don't get paid for their cases, but they do accept donations for their pizza budgets. So it's really, really important.
Really key. I mean, like you cannot solve mystery without pizza.
Yeah.
Essential, I'd say.
Key.
Now, why give Tessa the team? Why not just make her like a solo character?
I couldn't even imagine. There are some instances where she has to take on a case on her own. And
Okay.
the first one, you'll find that too. But there's something about teamwork that I like to write about in stories, whether it be through sports or something like a club, that I think is a really important thing to teach kids. So I love writing diverse cast of characters. Some, tertiary sometimes look closer to the story. And I think too, what makes it fun about having solid friendships like that is that someone like Tessa can go to her friends if she has a problem. She can ask them their advice, where she doesn't necessarily have to always go to her parents. I think there's that connection that she has with her friendship, that they can solve things on their own.
Okay. When it comes to writing these books, you have to map it all out to avoid getting kind of caught in a corner.
Nope, I don't.
You don't map
I'm
it
a
out?
pantser. I don't map anything
wow.
out. Even the thriller mysteries, I write. Like, I didn't know who the murderer was in this when I first started writing it. It just kind of came. So I've had times where I write things a little, like I'll write a scene because I know it's important and I have it in my head. But then when I continue writing chronologically, I'll like, oh wait, that doesn't fit. It kind of stops me a little bit in my tracks because I'm used to just going with the flow and writing chapter 1, chapter. It's always chronologically, and I don't really have a plan.
So do you have to do a lot of back and forth?
Not really.
Wow.
I mean,
aggressive.
I map it out after that. Like, even with the football book I wrote, I make sure that it's a full season. So I map out the games. Or with Frozen in Time, usually my books happen within a span of like 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
So I need to make sure that the actual weeks make sense.
Yeah, of course.
So you're not, especially if you're dealing with like a holiday or something. So, but overall, I don't really go back and do too much developmentally after the fact. But if something does get, kind of lost or something, I have beta readers that help me.
Okay, the beta readers,
Yeah.
because I feel like this is a very essential thing to have. What is some of the best advice that they've given you in regards to your books?
Beta readers, one of my favorite things that beta readers do is I ask them when they're reading to tell me what their mindset is while they're reading it.
Yeah.
So if they'll say like even if you're reading a murder mystery, like, who do you think's doing it now? That way you can kind of see, are the red herrings working, or are you just like completely solve the entire thing?
Okay.
Or how do you feel about this character? And they'll be like, I don't like what she's doing now, or and that doesn't necessarily. It's not necessarily a bad thing. All your characters you don't have to connect with every single part of every character, but it helps to kind of see what your average reader is doing, because I'm going to have my opinion as a writer, but I need to know how it's going to affect you. Are you getting that same feel for it that I do when I'm writing it?
Okay. What got you into writing in the first place?
I've kind of always been writing. I realized that when I went through my old journals as a kid. I used to do like summer journals of what happened boringly over the summer. But I was pre-med bio in undergrad and then I went to law school. So I kind of been doing sort of non-fiction writing. And I did
Diverse background. I like this.
I know. I did like the law journal and stuff like that that I wrote. But I always wanted to write a little bit more, and I was published through an anthology with Simon & Schuster, because I'm a runner, so I did a writing piece on running. And from there, it kind of gave me the push to try to write a novel, and I did it, and I was able to do it in a few weeks, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I said, let's give it a shot. I got a small press contract, and then I decided to leave them and do my own thing, because I wanted to write in the gap. So that's kind of how you do it.
Okay, and is that how you founded Link Press?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I felt like I needed, in order to really do what I wanted to as a writer and fulfill those goals, I really had to kind of go outside of what your average publishing shtick is, I guess I should say. The trends of the publishing industry. I was willing to go out there and kind of strike out on my own.
And is that just you right now, or do you have other writers?
No, it's just me, and I have my hands full as it is, because I put out 3 books and a novella last year, and then this year I only did 1, because this one was different than all the others.
Yeah.
So it needed a little bit more extra attention, but I have a book coming out in February, which is another Wright Detective book, which is Valentine's theme, and then after that I have the new adult one that, so I'm trying to cover all my bases. Maybe slow it down a little bit.
I mean, 3 books and a novella in 1 year, it's kind of a lot,
Yeah. didn't get a lot of sleep, and I don't think I have. It's not just me doing it too. I have a team of people who help me, and they were all just exhausted too. So.
I'm sure they were. They're probably like, please slow down, take a vacation,
I think
something.
that you should just wait a couple of years before you put that. I don't know.
Could you do like one book a year maybe or something? Yeah.
That's a good idea.
How did you meet the beta readers?
It's a good question. Mostly through my old publisher, actually. So we all kind of had the same idea. We wanted to like do our own thing, and so you mesh with certain people, and then you kind of come up with a trust level with them.
Yep.
And even if you don't necessarily write the same genre or age group, whatever it is, that you still get. If you have a good writer who's reading what you want to read and they enjoy reading, then you can find some really, really great feedback from them.
Excellent. Oh, well, Kelly, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. But where do folks go if they want to learn more about you and get the books?
Okay, so I'm gonna think about what my email address is, but it's author@swantaylor@gmail.com, and I also have a website which I can't give you the address for right now because it's really complicated. But I'm
Link
all
in the
over
description, folks. Link in the description.
Google Kelly Swan Taylor. I'm all over Goodreads, Amazon.
There we go. Awesome, Kelly. Thanks again.
Thank you.